Well, happy Valentine's week, everybody, and welcome to episode 67 of The Game Changers. I'm your host, Carla, and in this episode, I'm honored to feature Bob Long, whose extensive knowledge and experience will offer invaluable insights. Our discussions will delve into thought provoking topics, ensuring an enlightening experience for our audience. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude for the whole TSA team for their unwavering support in establishing this platform for meaningful conversations with leaders and innovators within our community. Join me as I explore the stories and insights of our guests, especially in the domain of fantasy football. The Game Changers cultivates a distinctive community, and I'm privileged to share this journey with all of you this evening. Bob Long, fantasy football expert and consistency pioneer. Bob Long has an influential figure in the fantasy football world since he started playing in 1985. Nationally recognized as a fantasy football expert since 2002, Bob has developed a unique approach to the game by emphasizing the importance of identifying consistency in fantasy players. His deep understanding of player performance consistency has led him to numerous fantasy football titles, both against other experts in any and in local leagues. Bob's expertise and insight have been sought after by numerous prestigious fantasy football sites, including Creative Sports, Fox Sports, Fanball, and Roto Experts. His knowledge and experience are also frequently showcased as he often appears as an expert guest on Sirius Radio's Fantasy Sport channel. Bob continued to share his wisdom through his own fantasy football site, Big Guy Fantasy Sports. Every summer, Bob publishes his highly anticipated fantasy football consistency guide. The guide has been a staple in the fantasy football community, earning the accolade of Best Fantasy Football Publication by the Fantasy Sports Writer of America, FSWA, in 2018, and receiving nominations for 6 consecutive years from
Eight.
2017 to
It's
2022.
8 now because this came out last week. I got number 8. So
Yes,
eight.
let's go. That's amazing. That's amazing
Yeah,
news.
thank you.
Congratulations in advance. In 2018, Bob took his passion for fantasy football to new heights by creating the King's Classic Fantasy Football Expert Draft. Held annually in Canton, Ohio, this prestigious event brings together 42 of the top fantasy football experts from around the globe to compete for the title of Best of the Best. Two of the leagues draft live at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, while the third league is conducted online and features 7 international fantasy experts and sites. Bob is also the founder of the Fantasy Football Expo, and an event held every August in Canton, Ohio. The expo attracts over 50 of the top fantasy football experts from across the country, offering a platform for them to share their knowledge and unique expertise. The 2023 event saw participation from over 50 exhibitors and sponsors and drew more than 750 attendees. More information about the expo, we can talk about it tonight with Bob Lang. Hi, Bob. How are you tonight?
Hello, that was very, very long. We have to shorten that to like Bob's here. And let's just do that this way.
Definitely. Bob is here. I mean, who doesn't
Bob is
know
here.
Bob Lang?
Yeah. At least the people listening to this show, definitely not me. But thank you again for having me. Always an honor to be on here. Always great to talk to the people and be a part of the Game Changer group. And so, yeah, let's talk about the 2025 Expo.
Definitely. The honor is always mine. Thank you so much for being our guest tonight. So I have to start with a question that JJ asked me. And he said, can you tell Bob when he's going to be on Blue Sky?
So, yeah, we've thought about it. it's just one more thing to track.
Yeah.
Nate Cheatham, of course, is my back, behind the scenes guy and does an amazing job. He's not everybody realizes how much effort and what his knowledge has brought to the making it easier to buy tickets and navigate the site and that. But some people have keep mentioning this Blue Sky thing. We probably will get on there at some point. It just hasn't been a priority at this point. So we'll try.
That's awesome. I have a question from the comments. It's Joe Carlton. He's asking how many hours does a booth have to be manned at the expo?
So, last year we tried the sports betting Saturday, did not go over as well as we hoped. So we're going to combine sports betting back into Sunday. So now it'll only be the 6 hours from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. So should make life a little bit easier for those folks so they don't have to man it for 2 days. Like I said, we tried, didn't go over as well as we hoped, but that's okay. We'll still have sports betting. We'll just add an extra stage to Sunday and we'll still have the sports betting. So you only have to really do those 6 hours on Sunday.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
We're gonna start from the beginning. What inspired you to get involved in expos and trade shows?
Well, I don't know if anybody inspired me to get into expos, but I guess what I've kind of mentioned in the past is I've lived in Canton all my life. So I grew up watching the Hall of Fame, going to the events as a kid, going with my dad and my grandfather, and we'd go to the games and sat on metal bleachers because it was really a high school field first. In fact, one year there was a thunderstorm and they canceled the game in the middle of the third quarter because we were all sitting on metal stands and we needed to get out before we got hurt. But the amazing thing, what I guess I learned or watched was how they took that from this small little 2-day event and turned it into this just mega weekend. And so many people came in town and, just took it just to this, not just a next level, way up. And, and then you throw in the fact that I was a volunteer driver for Hall of Fame weekend for 34 years, driving Hall of Famers around, everybody from Al Davis to John Madden to Brian Dawkins, Champ Bailey, Kurt Warner. And so, I really started to understand that weekend, how it went, what it means to be a Hall of Famer, what it means to put on events that people can enjoy, and also experience, some local flavor, I guess. And so I'd say, 2018 was when the King's Classic. So let's go back 5 more years. So let's go back 10 plus years. And I'm in my head then going, we really should do something at the Hall of Fame and call it like Fantasy Football's Greatest Weekend, because they call the Hall of Fame Football's Greatest Weekend. And I went to a few people that I knew at the Hall, threw the idea out, didn't get a lot of fanfare from it, kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, well, we'll think about it, and just never really got anywhere. And but I kept in my head, kept thinking of how could we do this? How could we do this? And really, it wasn't until I saw that they were going to bring this village around the Hall of Fame and provide like this dome and, all of these bigger places to do bigger events. Because Canton is a small town by nature. And so I just kind of went, well, if we do, let's do this best of best draft first. Let's see how that goes. And if the guys and folks like it, then we'll try an expo thing, and I didn't expect it to get very big, very fast. I just felt like, if we can get a couple hundred people a year show up, that'd be fun. It'd kind of be an annual event. I was really more focused on the best of the best draft because baseball had it for years and football really didn't have one other than what Jake Seeley was doing in New York, which was fine. And I was going to those as well. But I really liked that live draft experience you used to hear from baseball when they would do their tout wars, and they always drafted in cool places. And I was just thought like, man, we should do this. And so luckily with the help of Andy Behrens and Bob Harris and Mike Clay and Jeff Ratcliffe and Brad Evans, who, obviously were big time folks, I gave the idea to them and said, what do you think? And they're like, well, if you can do the part in Canton, we'll get SiriusXM to come. And as they say, the rest is history. And here we are.
That's amazing. I mean, to start something small and become a family vacation, it's just such an amazing thing. I'm not even kidding. Like, I wait every single year. This is going to be my 4th year. I wait every single year right now to just go and see everybody, because it's such an amazing experience to go and see the people that you meet online on Twitter as fantasy football enthusiasts, and it's memorable. It's something memorable in my opinion. So what's new this year at the Expo? I know that there's so much we're gonna talk about tonight.
So much.
What's new?
So yeah, so we actually have a thing on the website too, if you want to click on it. But it's what is new this year. So very important thing we did at the end of last year is we did a very, very big survey of everyone. Yes. We've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. What are we missing? What are we not seeing because we're on the inside looking out versus the outside looking in? And we got a lot of great ideas. And so one of them, which was a big one, was while we have fans, we certainly have fans, we have content creators, and it's definitely been getting closer. It used to be like 70% content creators, and now it's about 50-50. Yes. But I guess if there was a complaint, if that's what you want to call it, it was there's not enough things for the fans to, various levels of engagement with the fans.
I heard that.
And
yes.
One of the ones that people talked about was the meeting and greeting and being kind of one-on-one with the big folks. And when I say big folks, I'm not just talking tall people like Doug. I'm talking the Bob Harrises and Jeff Ratcliffe and basically anybody here on SiriusXM, folks that are staples in the industry, Andy Behrens, Dave Richards, JJ Zacharias. I mean, it's just so many. And what their thing was is that while certainly there's folks that have anxiety and they have a difficult time coming up to somebody who they admire, respect, and interrupt them in a conversation. Now, Carla, and I know we can walk up to any of those folks anytime, shake their hand, give them a hug, ask them how their family's doing. It's nothing for us. But for somebody who's new and somebody who is not in the community, or hasn't been in it for a while, you're gonna be a little nervous, and I get that. So we created this thing we're calling the ultimate fan experience. So we know that we've been getting a lot of new people year after year, which is fantastic.
Yes.
But we wanted to put together a fan package that gave them the best of everything you can enjoy in one weekend. So it's not just you're going to get your VIP weekend package. You're going to get your access to everything, but it's a next level up. So instead of just going and getting a ticket for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you get a guided tour by one of the folks that work there for 90 minutes, walk you through, tell you about everything, literally, guide you through it. So that's part of it. The meet and greet. So it's only 100 tickets will be sold of this experience.
Yes.
And the idea is that if we get 10 to 15 of the top folks in the room, then you pretty much have a 1 to 10, 1 to 8 ratio. And you don't have to worry about interrupting anybody. You have all the time. There will be food provided, drinks provided, everything's provided in that little experience. And they can meet one-on-one. We're going to do it from 6 to 7 right before the Saturday party on Saturday night. And allows them to have that, one-on-one real, conversation with the folks. I mean, we've already got currently committed is Bob Harris, Marcus Grant, Andy Behrens, Howard Bender, Jim Coventry, JJ Zacharias. And, we still want to get folks like, Jeff Manns and Fabiano if he comes into town, but we haven't got commitments on them coming yet. the season's kind of just ending. So they're all kind of, catching their breath. So, but that's our goal, is to get, 10 to 14, 10 to 15 of those top folks to come and be part of that meet and greet. So that's that. On top of that, we've also created a fans classic, which we'll talk a little bit more about that, but you get involved in that. We have this merchandise store. So if you buy the Ultimate Fan package, you get a exclusive, can't buy it shirt that says Ultimate Fan, and you for the event. So that's part of it. There's also merchandise discounts at the hall, a ticket to get into the draft night out, and it's just so much. So like, I think if you buy that package, you get like 3 or 4 T-shirts. So
wow.
if you're a Scott Fishbowl lover and you got all those T-shirts, here's the thing to do. So definitely check that out. So that is the big one. It's giving folks, giving them what they want. The Fans Classic is another one. It's basically a new draft. We have Kings Classic, we have Queens Classic, we have IDPs. And again, folks said, man, it'd be cool to be able to draft in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That would be awesome, especially at the same time all the big shots are, right? So I'm like, okay. So let's make a Scott Fishbowl-esque type competition. So this year is a qualifier. And so we will scale it down to 12 people. And those 12 people next year, 2026, will get to come and draft live in the Pro Football Hall of Fame right beside us folks in there, and have the first ever Fans Classic. And the cool part is whoever wins gets an all-expense paid trip back to the expo. That's airfare, hotel, everything. And they get to sit beside whoever their favorite expert is. So if it's Bob Harris, they'll get to sit side by side with Bob Harris draft all day during the Kings Classic, right beside them. Doesn't get any better than that if you're a fan of one of those folks. So that's the idea of the Fan Classic. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So this year, because we don't want to wait 2 years for that to happen, we are going to ask a bunch of the same folks, some of the big shots, what I call them, the big boys, and ask them to pick their favorite fan to have the first Fans Classic this year. And each person will represent a Bob Harris, a Howard Bender, or whoever. And then whoever wins that competition, then in 2026, we'll get the all-expense pay trip to come.
I'm a fan.
Heck yeah, you are. You sign up. And you don't even have to buy any tickets. So the fun part is, if you can't make it to the expo, that's okay. You can still buy a Fans Classic qualifier, and you get a free T-shirt that says Fans Classic on it. You get a free copy of the consistency guide, and we're going to go to a lot of the sites to get other freebies and other fun things to give to them, so that, it costs a little money because we obviously have to pay for the airfare and, all that trip stuff. But you're going to get so much value out of it, just in the shirts, the consistency guides, and whatever else we can give away, that it's going to be well worth the value of being a part of the Fans Classic. So that's a big one as well. So that's our focus. We're really focusing on fans. Not that we don't want you content creators to come. Please don't yell at me. We want you to be there as well, but bring your fans. And so go ahead. I talked a lot.
No, oh my God. I can't. I want to talk because this is such an amazing news. I saw the news online, but listening to you talking about all of this, I'm like, my jaw is dropping. This is such an amazing thing that you're doing for fans. You're doing for us. You're doing for everybody. You are being inclusive, which is really amazing. And adding a fan club, that's I'm serious. I'm so happy. Like, you're making my heart so big right now. Well, because I'm a huge supporter of the expo. Sure. And to hear
but if you win the Fans Classic, you don't have to sit beside Doug. It's okay.
Okay.
All right. You can sit beside Bob Harris. That's all right.
I would love to sit next to anybody and everybody. Everyone is amazing. amazing. I love seeing Bob. I love giving him a hug every time I see him.
Oh,
I
sure.
love seeing Howard. I love, like, they became more of a family than just being, the people that because of fantasy football. Like, you guys have become a really good family to all of us, which is
Awesome.
I'm so honored to have, seriously.
Yeah,
I just want to give a shout out to JC because I know that he was nominated for King Classic, and I see that he was accepted as well. So how you get nominated to be in a King Classic, Bob, and how can you become one of the players?
Well,
Or
first
King
off,
Classic
somebody
too.
has to drop out, which doesn't happen very often. So, the idea is to have, somebody represent some of the biggest sites or just be with some of the biggest names. I mean, and, I know we've had this conversation. You've heard this conversation. I mean, Doug Orth and I go back 15, 20 years playing in the huddle auctions, and, FF Today has been, a staple in this industry for so many years. So much respect for Doug. So, it's those kind of folks, the sites. And the biggest thing to me is we want to make sure that there's only one person per site. So as much as we'd love to have, 4 football guys draft, from footballguys.com, we try to make it one. Now, sometimes we have some that are SiriusXM or FSWA. And, sometimes we have a little bit of it. But, it's still people that we feel like are the biggest names in the industry. And just put that out there. JC now going to be part of the Butt Kiss, which is the IDP, which is awesome. So, like I said, I try to get folks in. Like, I got Jorge Edwards in a couple of years ago, and his Fantasy and Frames group in. Sometimes it's just, people can't make it, so we have somebody kind of plug in. So as much as I love to say everybody comes every year, life happens, and we don't always get everybody. But the best thing is that we know I have a waiting list, and I have everybody in. If I just say, hey, you're in, Nate, Nate Markham or whoever I plugged in this year for some things, because a lot of people didn't. We had like 8 people that couldn't make it live this year for various reasons, and so we had a lot of filling in and maneuvering and that. But it's all fun, and it's all about just having the best of the best there. And while there's probably many more that deserve to be there, I'm just afraid we can't make it much bigger. We don't have enough room at the Hall of Fame. It's just great stuff.
So I know that you did a survey. In your survey, did you get that please make it more of a week than just like 3-4 days? Because I've heard it a lot, and they want to make it more.
I've heard it a lot too, and I think people say it because they're having so much fun, like they don't want it to end. But I feel like after the 4th or 5th day, I think people were like, I don't know. I think when it's kind of close and condensed, you kind of power through it and you're like, that was awesome. But when reality, by day 4, I think people are like, oh, I'm kind of tired. And because we don't get any sleep, we party too hard. We keep getting older every year. That doesn't help. So trust me, I would love to have the energy to make it last longer, but who knows? Maybe someday we'll add an extra day and do some other things. There's been things thrown around about possibly adding in almost like I'll call it like a what's the word? An education conference. So maybe for content creators, we have a day like FSGA does, kind of conferences where they're promoting ideas, having panel discussions about how to be better at this, or how to get your product known, or how to get seed money. It's all big stuff that most of us are not at that level. So maybe we could do that at a smaller level of how to make a better video, how to do a proper short, things that maybe some people know very well and some people don't have a clue, like me. So I think that would be something that I think would be beneficial, because then it wouldn't have to be, the fans wouldn't have to be here all the time. We could have maybe a day early, and it's, you know, more for content creators. And it's just things in my head that, you know, I kind of go, well, maybe someday, but let's wait till we fine tune this to perfection, and then we'll move on to, you know, something else. But I know, you know, there's still fun things to do. I know this year, Seth Wolcock is putting together a golf outing.
Nice.
So on Friday. So any of you golfers out there, make sure you check that out. I think we'll have that announcement out soon, or maybe Seth has it on his site. Of course, Seth is the one that puts on Draft Night Out. So definitely check that out. We are moving a couple things. Draft Night Out will now move. So for anybody who knows the M Bar, because you do the poker, you know there's M Bar and there's jerseys side by side up in the mall area. We are going to move Draft Night Out to the M Bar for more room. They're bursting at the seams. And as much as we love Brew Kettle, they're busting at the seams. And I asked Seth, do you want to be bigger? You know, you're at 12 leagues, you barely can squeeze in that place. If we moved it to a bigger place, do you think you'd be good? You'd be okay with that? And he said, yes. So we're going to move it to the M Bar. So it'll run same time, Saturday afternoon, noon to 4, 1 to 5. I'm not sure what Seth is working on. So we're going to move that to the M Bar on Saturday. Why that's important is because we're also moving the Saturday night party to both bars Saturday night instead of the stadium. One of the biggest complaints we heard from a lot of people, as much as they love the cool stadium, the cool vibe of the stadium, the selection of drinks and food is pathetic. And they're correct. I think last year there were 2 beers you could buy. That was it. Like Coors Light, Miller Lite, or something like that. The food is your typical nasty hot dogs and nasty cold hamburgers. They put in a microwave. It's just bad. And so that was a big complaint from a lot of people. And I've been feeling that way for a couple of years, but I always heard that, stadium's so cool. And it is, but so moving it to that restaurant. So M Bar in Jerseys is owned by the same guy, of course, that owns Jerseys that we do Centennial Plaza. So when the Hall of Fame weekend, most of the big night parties, like after parties of after events, are all held in those 2 bars. So they bring in a ton of big tents and stages and stuff like that. So what they're going to do is leave all that there for us to come in the next week, so that if the weather's not good, no problem, go inside. There's a stage inside. So maybe we could do karaoke on Saturday night. Maybe we could do, or you can be outside. So there's so much room. But the most important part is the selection is unlimited. All the beers, craft beers, different beers, all the food choices, and by the way, it's probably about half the price you would have paid in the stadium anyway. Wow. So now you're getting a beer for $5 instead of $10. So saves folks money, better selection. It just it made sense. And, I think we'll have so much more fun because there'll be different areas of different people. And some people might want to stay inside and watch football games on the TVs. Some of us might like to be outside if the weather is cooperating. We'll have DJs, we'll have music, all that stuff. As always, sure, we'll probably, I'm sure Matt will show up with his, we'll get the beer pong going as well outside. So nothing much will change. It'll just be better. And I think in the long run, this is the best move based on what we had heard and what I had already felt anyway. So that is a big thing, is moving that. So for those of you who miss out on the DoubleTree, don't sweat, because across the street from M Bar and Jerseys is a Holiday Inn, and it's on our website, the Expo site. When you buy the tickets, go if you think you'd rather be partying harder on Saturday versus Friday, then stay there. And then, especially if you're in the poker and tournament and you're in Draft Night Out and you're going to go to the Saturday party, all 3 of those events are across the street from the Holiday Inn. And the Holiday Inn has a really nice bar that has like 20 draft beers on tap. They call it, I think, the the tap house and the 20 tap house, something like that. So it's really a nice hotel. We've never really went to it in the past because everything has been, I mean, again, not that, everybody loves a DoubleTree. We love running around town, going to George's, all the different bars. That's still fun. I get it. Totally understand. But if you miss out because, by the time you get ready to book things, you don't have the ability to get into the DoubleTree, Holiday Inn's still a really good choice. And we will do transportation like we did last year for both parties to and from, so that, you won't have to sweat driving. So.
What amazing news. I mean, I can't wait this year. You just made my night, because usually Doug and Jim and we go, and last year we went with Leo as well. So we go to eat before the party because we cannot eat at the party.
Yeah,
so this is something amazing. Like, you are making everybody right now happy because they had to eat before and then come back and then enjoy the company. This is really amazing news. I can't wait for August, and everybody is feeling the same. And we have as well, I'm trying to catch Matt so I can bring him on here so we can talk a little bit about what he's gonna bring to the expo too. What else what else can you share about the expo? Is there anything new?
Yeah, so a very big thing, and I know that JC was showing it earlier, but if he wants to bring it back up, we decided that again, going to the survey, a lot of folks said, "Hey, Bob, it's cool to get my expo shirt, but it's really hard for me to promote the expo to my fans and everybody beforehand because I don't have anything else to wear. And I would wear last year's shirt. It doesn't so we said, okay, so let's create our own merchandise, just like Scott Fish does. And so it's right on the site. You just click on merch at the top. And so one of the fun things that I kind of came up with and then had my graphic guy design it was having 3 different music festival theme expo shirts. So as you see, we have an Expo Country Fest, the Rock Show, and Exponaru. I hope I don't get sued by those folks. But anyway, and we got stuff, of course, with the regular Expo logo on it. But the fun part is on the back of the shirt has all of the names of the big, the big attendees, our fantasy football experts that are there. And it, so it shows, I know I'm there. I put myself in the small, I might have put Doug up top, but all the folks are there to make it kind of look like they're the bands of the festival. And then it has all the activities, the Friday party, Saturday events, Sunday events, so that people can kind of see what's going on before it goes on. So, so get those shirts. I have the Country Fest one on now. So yeah, they're just fun shirts. And so, get them, enjoy them. They're very soft, the kind of that soft material. So, so that's a big thing. So you can get shirts, you can get hats, koozies, sweatshirts. There's the Fans Classic shirt there too, that people can get for free if they enter the Fans Classic, so you can at least see what it looks like. It's third row down, JC, and third one to the right, if you want to go there and show it.
That's really amazing news. Like, every single news you shared tonight, Bob, is really awesome, and everybody should go this year and experience the change, because the expo is something that everybody waits for it to connect, and all these stuff are gonna be really great experiences.
Looking forward to it.
Before we get into some more stuff that the expo is offering, do you can you share something memorable, like something that did happen at the expo and you always share as a story at the back, an experience or a memorable something that happened in past expos that you did already?
Well, I've always said I created this for us I mean, I call us the people who
Yes.
don't do this full time. We have real jobs. We do this as a passion, and whatever our passion is, and whether it's the consistency stuff or IDP or Devi or whatever you're into, for us just to share knowledge. That was really what, and get together and have some fun and enjoy each other. Things that I never expected and didn't think about was networking, people getting jobs. And nothing warms my heart more than the Lawrence Jackson story. When he was, driving a delivery truck, doing his own videos in 2022, I think so, or 21, can't remember, 22. He comes to the expo. NBC Sports is the title sponsor. He talks with them. They love his stuff. Now look at this guy. He's everywhere. He's a star. Wow. He's there at the Super Bowl. He's on stage with Matthew Berry. I mean, it's like watching, your kid right in front of you just become this amazing. And we all knew he was amazing. Like, it was nobody sat there and went, well, how did he get that? He's lucky. No, he's amazing. I mean, every time I see him, I'm just like, dude, you just, every time and I'll see him probably next week at FSGA. It just blows my mind of what somebody with talent, just that break, that little spot that, and I don't want any credit for it. I'm just excited to tell the story because it shows that if you come and you have some talent, you might be able to meet the right people at the right time and, and take yourself to a whole new level in this community. It's a tough community. I mean, not everybody makes full-time jobs. Very few people make full-time jobs. The women of fantasy has been a big thing. All of them coming through, the Queen's Classic being a part of this event. People who have, I remember, I forget who wrote, I always forget who wrote this article, but somebody wrote an article, it might've been Hoove, about having anxiety, like really bad anxiety, came to the expo and literally made it through the whole weekend without any anxiety attacks because he said everybody was so nice and so welcoming. And, that's awesome. The kind of stuff that just, I never thought of, but here it is. And I'm very excited that, that has happened to a lot of people as a product or byproduct, I guess.
These are amazing stories and memorable stories that you will never forget. And you're bringing a community together. You're bringing people together, Bob. And this is such an amazing thing that you and your family do. So I did come to the expo 3 years ago. And what I noticed that technology evolved and the expo evolved with technology. So my first time was at the Hall of Fame, and you were putting like stickers and going with the snake all over the board. Yeah. And the next year it was technology. So what has the role of technology evolved in the expo trade shows, and how?
Well, first off, you have to have the right people that know how to use it. So like I said, 3-4 years ago, and we were, I remember the 2021 where I didn't know what to expect because it was after COVID, and we'd had 75 people in 2019. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe we'll double it, And so I was doing everything by hand. I mean, Nate wasn't around. So, I think maybe he did help with the website, but it was kind of like just created it. I was doing everything by hand, put it in spreadsheets. Then I'd give that to, the Mrs. COO behind me here, behind the palm trees. And she did it all by hand, highlights and scratches and, and now everything's automated. We've got an app that people know when and where everything's going to be, who's speaking, what time. You get a notification 10 minutes before. It just has made life so much easier. And that just comes from people that know what they're doing. Again, getting the right piece of technology in the right place at the right time, or paying the right price for it sometimes. But it has made things a lot easier. I mean, I could do a lot more, but I don't want to complicate it. I want it to be something that's simple to use, regardless of age. So it's been a great transition, and this year's even better. And like I said, hats off to Nate Cheatham for his amazing job on this website and how easy it is to use. I mean, when you go and you buy the Fan Classics ticket, you literally pick your shirt out and your size, and it automatically sends the order to the store, and then with the address ships it out to you within a day. You don't have to do anything. You already bought it.
That's amazing.
And so, like I said, that kind of stuff that just makes it so cool, so much easier, so much less pressure on me, especially the family when they come, who, they do an amazing job. It wouldn't run without them. I'm just a figurehead at that point. So
I'm going to go back to the family, but something last year you brought an auctioneer to the draft. And it was such an amazing thing. Like, when I was at the draft, he was amazing, literally amazing. Are you doing that this year?
Yes, I already told them that they would be coming back. The funny thing is that the dad, who was next door doing an auction, next door, I had met him before, and he had done one of our auctions, but he didn't do it at that auctioneer level, like high-end level. So when he said, I'm going to do that one, but I've got this young kid to do yours, I think we all were kind of like, is this kid going to be able to keep, can he? And like you said, when he opened his mouth, we all just gasped and just stood there for like a full minute. Nobody said a word. Nobody bid. We just sat there. We were just like, what is happening? And I think I remember going, hold up. I remember stopping him and going, dude, that was amazing, but kick it down about 50 notches so that we can, one, keep up, two, look at our sheet so we had enough time, because, so he adjusted great. And we were done with that auction in like 2 hours? It was something ridiculous time frame. And it was, that young man, I don't remember his name, but it was just, it's so much fun.
Yeah, I loved him so much. I took a video and I posted on Twitter. I'm like, look what the expo is having. He was such a, I loved him. I really do. Yeah. So I see, I met your wife at what time? And at the expo. The first year, I didn't even know she was your wife. The second year I met her, she's an amazing, amazing individual. And someone like you that's doing the expo and doing everything family. You're a daughter from a place, your wife from another, and you have such a support system that everyone wants to have. What makes you the guy that have the support system in this family, and that makes you with your family? Tell us a little bit about you and your family, Bob.
Well, let's start with how far I married up. And how amazing she is. She'd love to be in control, so that made it easier for me to hand that off to her. And she's standing right behind me, so if I say anything wrong, if you see my head go like this, it's because she hit me. But no, she's just so good at that kind of stuff. I'm not a detail guy. I'm an idea guy. And so to have that kind of yin and yang kind of thing where I can have the idea, but I'm not great at the execution, she's great at the execution. And so if I say, here's what we're trying to do, she'll look at it and, work at it and pick at it. And next thing you know, she's like, well, let's do it this way. And I'm like, that's brilliant. And yeah, I'm just very blessed to have somebody like that. The kids, we just have a great tight knit family. I may bribe them with a vacation every year so that they do it, but it doesn't hurt. But they just, Mariah and Matt, who you've seen every year, they're my, social media, video, picture taking. That's her job anyway. She's a video editor. She loves doing that stuff. Matt is just kind of the same. He understands the football and fantasy, and they all play. So they get what's going on. They get the excitement, the thrill. They know what pictures to take, what videos to get. They can capture those moments, and there's no way I'd have that kind of time. And so in somebody else, maybe I could pay somebody to do it, but are they really going to understand the folks and know who Bob Harris is and know who Jeff Rack, so it's just been a great collaboration. Like I said, I'm just very blessed to have all of them to help me out every year. And it just makes it that much more fun because, I get to see my whole family for the week, kind of, sort of. I don't see them as much, but I love them to death, and they're just amazing.
That's a blessing. I'm serious. Like, they're always smiling. They're always talking to everybody. I stop sometimes and I talk to your daughter. I talk to your wife. They are so happy. They are so proud of you and proud of the stuff that you bring.
You probably met my mom too, I think, right?
I did met your mom.
She loves being there too. Nothing she loves more than people to brag about her son. So
that's amazing. I just love it. I love that the whole family is there.
Yeah.
So again, to talk about the expo for this year, before talking about the nominations and stuff like that, I know that you have some challenges and unexpected situations. But what the most challenging thing at the expo, Bob, and what did you encounter? What unexpected situation can you encounter sometimes, and how would you solve it?
I mean, the good thing is that I always try to have plan B in my head.
Yes.
Not a lot of people realize that in 2022, I think it was 22, we were supposed to have the flag football in the dome.
Yes.
But the dome didn't get finished. They didn't tell me that till like a week before, that it wasn't ready. And so I had to basically say, okay, well then you're going to have to give me the football field because we're going to play this. And so everybody thought it was awesome that I reserved the Pro Football Hall of Fame football field for the event. And I really didn't. I planned it for the dome, so it would be indoors and, but the good Lord blessed us. It was perfect weather that day. It was like 72 degrees, a little breeze. It was just perfect for football in that evening. And so it all worked out. But it's those kind of things, I always say, the whole duck analogy, right? It's like everybody says, man, this thing looks so smooth and it just looks like you have everything under control, and underneath my feet are, I'm paddling, the kids are paddling, the wife's, we're all just, trying to make it look like it's that smooth. But it's just things happen. I've certainly had people complain to me about various things. I don't take it personal. I'm like, a lot of times I'll just say, well, we have thought about that, and here's why we don't do it. And I'm never mad about it. If you're like, oh, don't you get angry all the work you put into this? Somebody says something, call your baby ugly. And I'm like, well, most of the time they have decent intentions. And I just explain to them, well, I haven't thought of that. I will make a note of that, and we'll look at it for next year. Or, I have looked at this, and this is why we didn't do it that way. So, but that's why we like the survey. The survey taught us a lot because it allowed people to share without saying it to my face. Because a lot of people be like, I don't want to tell Bob, I don't want to call his baby ugly, and it's like, it's okay. Just tell me why you don't think something should be the way it is. And I'll either give you an answer if I know right off the bat, or I'll say, good idea. I mean, I've certainly made many changes to this expo because people have given me those ideas. Sports betting Saturday was because people said we should have a sports betting. Sports betting is a big deal. We should do this. We should. I'm like, yeah, I agree. That's what the industry's going. What I didn't realize was most people don't like to get up on Saturday after Friday night's party. And so, plain and simple, they were all hungover and they didn't want to go. And I'm like, oh, that's fair. So,
it is fair.
Yeah.
And you can't make everybody happy,
No,
like,
you can't. I
know that.
Right. I totally get that. Totally understand that.
Yes.
But I try, I mean, yes, there are going to be people that, I don't know if this Saturday part is, I hope it does. I think it'll work. I mean, obviously, if it rains, it'll be a great move because it won't get all inside. But
I agree.
But if it's super hot and humid, you can be inside because it's air conditioned. So every year, my biggest prayer is just keep the weather decent. Don't sweat me out and don't rain me out. And it's done pretty well. And when we've had some bad storms like we did a couple years ago when we were in the dome playing flag football, I was concerned, but it worked out. By the time the party, we got to the party, the rain had pretty much dried, has stopped and it worked out. But, we've had our moments, but it's just, like I said, I just love the fun of things just happening for no apparent reason. Last year, the video of Eric Froton and those guys playing wiffle ball on Cleveland Avenue in front of George's at 2:00 in the morning. You can't plan that. It's
I heard the police came at them though.
I'm sure they did. But how does a policeman get mad? Hey,
no, they told them, okay, you can play, but you have to leave after that. So
yeah. What are you gonna do? Arrest me for having a wiffle ball bat? I mean, come on.
It's amazing.
So anyway, it's those kind of things. I mean, so many videos. What was the one year somebody showed up like in a fox outfit or like a full blown like dressed up as a fox and something with Laquan Jones. You have to ask him. There was something or one of those guys. It was either Laquan or who's the other one? He's with football guys. Oh, I can see him and I can't think. Anyway, something with that. And then somebody showed up with a freaking fox outfit. It's like, what is happening? But that's the fun part. It's the unexpected fun of, you just don't know what to expect. And as long as nobody gets hurt, it's a blast.
Jagger.
Nah, it wasn't Jagger. It'll come to me.
Oh my God. The stories that I hear every single year at the expo makes my heart happy. And I know that a lot of people have so much fun. They relive, their youth like us at some point, which is really amazing. And then you sit and talk with a lot of people from all over the globe, the people that you are interested in knowing more about them face to face, which is connect you more to them. And that's a unique experience.
Well, if you remember a couple years ago, I went out to London for their second annual expo. And they've grown theirs from like 25 to 50 to 75. And, they keep getting more people. It was just so much fun. And, certainly not the level we're at, but just the fact that they're doing it because I did it and because they thought it was a good idea. And they actually asked me, they're like, is it okay if we do that? Yeah, heck yeah, it's okay. I was honored that they just started their own, European expo basically. And, I said to them, I said, well, hopefully I'll get to come out again sometime. And in the meantime, I hope you guys can make it over. So,
yes.
And they all want to, I get it, but it's not cheap. That's for sure.
I agree 100%. They should ask for you to go for free because they took the name.
I think they gave me a free ticket to get in, but hey, that was good enough.
Yeah. So your unique approach to identifying consistency in fantasy players has set you apart in the industry. Can you share some of the key principles behind this strategy and how it has helped you achieve success in your leagues, Bob?
So the whole idea is that, a lot of people will just look at the total points. So if they see somebody at the end of the year, they're like, hey, look, I'm looking at numbers. So, Devon Achen was fifth in total points this past year in 2024 with almost 300 fantasy points, fifth overall, right? So he's a top 10 guy, right? Well, problem was his consistency was only 71%, which means five of those 17 games, he didn't even go over 11 points in fantasy that week. While that doesn't sound terrible, when you compare it to the person that was in sixth place, who was 3 points behind him in Josh Jacobs, and he was 94% consistent, which means he only missed one game all year. That makes the difference. That could make the difference between one or two games, you winning one or two games. And how many times, folks, if you're out there and you're listening, have you been a game or two out of the playoffs? And you're like, damn it. I was in the top 5 in the league in scoring, and I was this and I was that. And, it's bad luck and woe is me. And what you may have just had is inconsistent players. But you look at the total points and you think, oh, I had the 5th highest score there. And I had James Cook, who was 8th, but he was only 75% consistent. An Alvin Kamara or Kyron Williams was 94% consistent and only scored 9 more points. But it's that they're every week for you, that over 11 plus fantasy points in a PPR. It just makes it can make or break the difference. And I've had people argue with me that it's all garbage. So I'm like, well, I made the playoffs in 12 out of my 16 leagues last year in 24.
That's awesome.
So that's what when people say I'm just missing the playoffs, I'm like, get the book, ask me any questions you want, and see if it doesn't help you improve getting more consistent players than, your JC said works for best ball. It does. And a lot of people thought, well, best ball is just you want those guys that can spike and make a difference. Yeah, but if you have a good core of consistent players, then draft some of those potentially, guys that can go off one week and not do anything the next. They'll help in best ball. But if you have all those people and they all go off in the wrong weeks, guess what? You may not do as well. Jameson Williams, thank you. Yeah. I was looking at that. I was looking at running backs to see who was like that. There's definitely Joe Mixon was 64% consistent. DeAndre Swift was 47, but he was 19th in total points. So it's those kind of, up and down, Hi, Doug. Miss you, babe.
You should make a t-shirt with babe on it. I love that.
Yeah. I'll just get I Heart Doug Orth, and we'll both wear the same shirt.
I'm with you with that. That's awesome. So, Bob, every summer you publish the Fantasy Football Consistency Guide, which was awarded Best Fantasy Football Publication by the FSWA in 2018. What inspired you to create this guide, and what sets it apart from other fantasy football publications?
Well, first off, so when I came out with my concept and I was writing articles for various sites, I was getting requests from people that were putting out the magazines on the shelves of, could I add an article about consistency and put it in there? And I was honored that I was asked, because it was people like Peter Schenke and Emil Cadillac, and these people that are big names in the fantasy magazine industry. So I was honored to put it, that information into it as an article with some information. Peter Schenke, who was a guy that always asked me almost every year for about 5 straight years. I said to Peter one year, I go, could I give you like profile information, consistency profile information for each one of those players, and you could add it to your player profiles as an added bit of information? And he goes, Bob, I love the idea, but I just don't have the room. If I do that and then I'm adding another 20 pages or more, and, he goes, why don't you just write your own book? And I'm like, I can't afford to get a book published. He goes, no, you can get them published on Amazon now, and ship it out. They said, you can't get color and all that stuff because it gets way too expensive, but just put a book out with a PDF version, and then they put the cover on it, and then they sell it and they ship it. Okay. So I did. And that's kind of how I got to do it. I was just kind of sharing it. And first year, I think, again, sold like 65 copies or something. And then the next year I sold, 150. Wow. And then it was the next year, I think it was 2017, is when I heard about this FSWA, and you could submit your book. You just mail it off to, the group, and they would analyze it and, that kind of stuff. And I got nominated, and I was like, oh, geez, okay, that's cool. And, I was like, and I didn't win, and I wasn't expecting to win. And then the next year I submitted again, got nominated again, and actually won. I was like, oh, okay, this is fun. And then all of a sudden, I was selling 2,000 copies. And I've been nominated every year since then. I haven't won since then, but I don't care. I'm competing against NBC Sports, CBS Sports, yes. People that have big money with color and pictures. And the fact that I've been nominated with these people, to me, is my trophy. It's
100% with you.
Because it's my peers that are looking at this and reviewing this. This is not everybody, hey, I tell everybody to go vote for me. It's not a publicity contest. It's they're seasoned veteran writers, that have been around forever making these choices. So one, I'm just honored to be nominated. That's good enough for me. And if I never win again, I'm good. I'm fine. I have my trophy. But I just love putting it out. I love every year getting emails from people thanking me for winning a title, their first title, or making the playoffs after being in last place the year before. That's what, if I just got that, it's fine with me. I don't even have to get nominated. I don't have to win any awards. Just that I helped somebody win a championship, because we all know what that feels like, especially if you've struggled and you really haven't grasped the right concepts or whatever. And then, awesome. Go and win a championship. One of my favorite stories is I had a business associate, just known this guy for years, older gentleman, probably 10 plus years older than me at the time, or still is. We, like I said, we had known each other. We went to lunch a couple times a year. And he says to me one day at lunch, and this is like, I think it was July-ish. He goes, do you play fantasy football? Now, I never brought this up to him, because to me, it's like, you're too old to play. You never mentioned it. You never even brought it up. I never said anything about it. It just wasn't something we talked about. And I kind of chuckled. I go, yeah. He goes, I was in a fantasy league last year with my son and my son-in-law. And he goes, I got my ass handed to me. And I go, well, guess what? And I didn't have a book on me, but I pulled it up on my phone and I showed him. He goes, wait a minute. You're an expert? Like, you write your own book? You've never told me this? I go, you've never told me you played. And so the fun thing is that I said, well, what was where did you struggle? And he said, I can't do the draft. It's too fast. Now, he's an older guy. Technology's not his friend. He goes, I can't look through my books fast enough to figure out who I'm going to pick. And by the time I get to a guy, I'm missing picks, and I'm just, it's drafting for me. And I said, and I hadn't thought about this. And I go, I go, if I created a 1-page Excel that had the players in like a tier thing that you could just scratch them off, and there'd be a little thing in the corner that would tell you, like, in round 1, draft a RB1A or wide receiver 1A, and then basically walk him through the draft. I said, would that help? He goes, I would think so. So I did. And the funny thing is, it's called the tier draft list. And I have so many people that ask me for that every year to send to them that buy the book because they want the updated version. And it's amazing because I use it. It's 1 page. I don't even need a computer. I used to go scratch. Okay, there's my picks. And I created it for this guy, and now it's like a staple in my book. And the best part of this, he goes, not only does he win the championship, made the playoffs, he was dead last the year before. He won 2 games. He makes the playoffs. His son and his son-in-law are furious that he won't tell them who his secret is.
I love it.
So, he gets to the playoffs, and then he beats his son or son-in-law's ass like by 40 points in the finals, wins the championship. And he was, when I saw him after that, he just couldn't stop grinning. And he goes, I finally told them my secret. And I said, oh, no, you shouldn't have done that. He goes, nah, it's fine. But that's the kind of stuff that just makes it all worth it in that. So everybody's talking about Doug doing Zumba. I'm sure that was very entertaining.
I said he had 2 left feet. And now he's
not. The fact that I almost got you arrested.
2 left feet, I said. And now he's not happy with that.
Yeah.
So, Bob, congratulations. I can't wait to see what the FSWA will have at the end. Like you said, nomination is really amazing. To be part of the nomination is such a high honor as well. And I don't want to stop talking to you. What else can you share about the expo before we end our podcast?
I'm more entertained by Doug saying that he's amazing on his feet. I don't even want to know, Doug. Just stop. No, that's the big stuff. I guess if there's one thing that I know is going to disappoint a few folks is we're not going to do the flag football this year.
Okay.
Not that we didn't enjoy it, but it's been 4 or 5 years. It really takes up a lot of time, a lot of volunteers to make it happen. And we only had 8 teams, and they barely got those together in time for the event. So I feel like it's kind of died off. We're all getting older, so there's not as many young folks to run around out there. I apologize to anybody who that played, and I know it was been a good time. We got to play with Des Bryant a couple of years ago. We might bring it back. I wanted to see how it all works, especially with the meet and greet stuff. I wanted to be able to be at that and help monitor that. And if I do that, then I can't be at the flag football. So just a lot of things. Again, we decided to change a few things up. And one of the things that we felt was, okay, if we're going to do this meet and greet, then I've got to be able to leave the Kings Classic draft, which is usually over at 4, to get over there to make sure that's set up for that. And in doing that, I wouldn't be able to run it. And, so I just felt like we're going to give it a break and give people just a little more time, especially folks that do the Kings Classics and the draft night outs, that they can wrap up with that, have enough time to either go get something to eat, whether you can go to the restaurant and get something to eat or wherever, and then come to the party at 7. And so, yeah. But that's the only thing that, we really took away if we did anything. Like I said, sports betting stuff is still going to be on. It's going to be on Sunday. We're going to have another stage or another area for that. So we're not going to get rid of sports betting. We're just not going to do it on that Saturday. So, but yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Like I said, we have all these packages that allows you to get a lot of things for one price and save money. Yeah. I think the Ultimate Fan is like a $525 value. It's $375, which sounds like a lot, but when you realize what you're getting, like I said, the value is like over $500. So it's going to be good. So
that's amazing. And like the stuff that you were talking, like I said, I was reading about it, but when you said it, it's such an amazing thing. And like $375, she said, it's not that expensive to have like someone walk with you, tell you everything, get all this stuff as well at the expo. This is such an amazing experience, and
Yeah.
hopefully it's going to work out for more and more years to come.
We even
So
added in the purchasing scenario, one of the things Nate did, because he says he sees us a lot on music festivals that are in that $400 or $500 range for tickets for the weekend. It actually gives you the ability to do a payment plan where you can pay like $100 a month for like 3 or 4 months to pay it off and still get the package without having to, drop $375 at that point. So if that helps you, I mean, there's no interest on it. It's just, you just pay it off in payments. You can do it. I think it's either biweekly or monthly, but either way, it at least gives you some time to spread that out. If that's a little much to handle, which, not everybody is rolling any kind, it's something that hopefully will help. So.
that's amazing. That's really good. And I do believe people needs to hear that, because some people live check by check as well. And to hear that, I think it's going to give them more, more push to it. So you're having fun reading Doug's stuff. I always tell him, and I don't know if your wife tell you the same, Bob. I always tell him I'm always right. Even when I'm wrong, I'm right. Do you agree with that?
I've never said my wife is wrong ever to her face.
See, that's the truth, Doug. You heard it from Bob Long.
She's not standing there. I might tell you that she was wrong with it. I won't let you stand around.
I really don't want to conclude this episode. It's really entertaining, and I'm such a huge fan of yours and your family and the expo, Bob. And we're gonna keep talking a lot about the expo through the month before it starts in August. So before we conclude, can you please share with your audience the ways they can connect with you and your social media platforms?
Yes. First off, again, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure. Always love to be on the show and talk about this stuff. It's definitely, you've made this you and all the folks, JC and everybody made this into an amazing podcast, and congratulations on all the success. Yeah. So on Twitter at Bob_Lung, the expo is at the FF Expo on Twitter. I know we have an Instagram. I think Nate created a TikTok. I don't do TikTok, nice. But he's putting things out on TikTok, and I think it's probably at the FF Expo, because that's what Instagram is as well. Of course, we're on Facebook, I think, as well, the Expo. So all kinds of that stuff. The website is, of course, thefantasyfootballexpo.com. And I'm 90% sure if you put in the FFexpo.com, I think that's available too. Nice. If you just want to type it quicker. Because I think we bought that domain last year. I found it. And all of that's out there. If you have any questions about anything, we have a Discord channel. That's one thing. So we've had it last year, but I just remembered it. We have a Discord channel. Please go and check that out. We definitely listen to you. Nate and I are always following it. So if you want to ask a question and you're on Blue Sky and I'm not, whatever, just join the Discord. It's free. We're there to answer questions. We got various topics like the hotels, the transportation, the events. So any of that stuff, always just hit me up, hit Nate up. We'll always be there for you to give you answers as quick as we can, for sure. So again, thank you. Honored to be here, Carla, and best of luck with everything.
Thank you. Before I conclude, I always ask a question, and I'm not sure if you have it too. So I ask my guests about a secret that they want to share, or something that they never shared ever before on any podcast, and they want to share with our audience. You have something to share with us.
I think I shared before that I was a wedding DJ for 35 years. Didn't I? Did I do that one? No. Okay. So I was a wedding DJ for 35 years.
That's awesome.
Wedding parties, that kind of stuff. and finally gave it up in 2020. Started in '85, so I literally transitioned from records to cassettes to CDs to computers. I just loved doing it. It was so much fun, and I made some good money on the side. Helped pay for family vacations and stuff like that. I didn't know if I ever brought that up in this group or not, but there we go.
I love it. Are you going to be playing for us at the expo?
I would love to. Now, I don't do any of the wiki stuff. I just play good music.
Awesome. But, we love good music.
Yes. But that's my secret. I didn't know if I had said it before, so that's why I wanted to bring it up. So.
Thank you so much, Bob. I'm really honored, and I appreciate your attendance for this episode of the Game Changers. I trust that my discussion with Bob has offered valuable insights into his experiences and the world of fantasy football. Go to the expo, you guys. You're missing a lot if you're not at the expo. I am there. This is my 4th year in a row. But Doug and I, we drive every single year to see all the good people and the best of the best, like Bob always share. So I urge you to go. That's an amazing experience. I invite you to join me for the next episode on Wednesday, February 19th, with Scott Gerhardt as my special guest. A special acknowledgement go to JC for his vital contributions behind the scenes and the whole TSA team. Subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Your feedback helps us improve. Follow us on social media for updates on upcoming episodes and join our community, the Sports Affiliation, where everyone is welcome. Until next time, continue to challenge the game and make your mark. This is Carla and Bob Long signing off, wishing you a pleasant evening.
Have a great night.